if you follow my other channel, my ASMR Addiction, then you may have seen me share their products in the past. But they have reached out to me again and generously gifted me another gorgeous bouquet so I could share it with you guys. This is the one that they recently gifted me. This is called a Dome, D-O-M-E. Now, the thing about their products is they're real 100% natural roses that are preserved in a special way so that they last without wilting or dying or anything for a full year. And I know this is true because a couple of years ago they sent me a container of roses. They were gorgeous purple roses and they lasted more than a year. I set them on my kitchen island for the whole year and they were such a beautiful conversation piece. So this is my most current bouquet, and look at all the beautiful pink roses. They come in a wide assortment of colors, sizes, and shapes. This particular one, as you can see, is in a round black container, but they also come in, actually I can go ahead and show you. This is the one I got in April that I showcased on my other channel, and this is a velvet box. You can see how gorgeous this is. The containers also come in pink as well as in a marble tone. I highly recommend going over to their website and checking out the wide array of different colors, shapes, and sizes. You won't believe how gorgeous. And they have given us a $20 off coupon code, which is TrueCrime20. Go down into the description box, click the link, it will bring you right to the site. Pick out what you like and then use the code TrueCrime20. Also, they are going to be running their mid-year sales this month, in the month of June, up to 50% off, so make sure not to miss that. I would also like you to know that these are handcrafted by professional flower artisans, and the products are all vegan, and they're also non-allergenic, so go check it out. I can't wait to put this out. I've been keeping it over here next to my, camera equipment and everything, so I could put it in the video, but I can't wait to put it out so that everyone can admire it. This one is super, super gorgeous, as they all are, so. Thank you again to Rose Forever New York for all the beautiful flowers that they have sent me. Now let's go ahead and get into tonight's case. This one is strikingly similar to another case I did a while back. That was the Tyler Hadley case, and I will link it somewhere up so many things, and she was likable. But as she grew older and into her teens, more problems started developing. She was lying, shoplifting, vandalizing property, and she even lit a neighbor's pool cushions on fire. So, she was put on medication to try to control these behaviors. Unfortunately, I was unable to find anywhere what medication and what exactly they diagnosed her with. So I can't say, and I'm really not going to guess. But whatever it was, her father was very unhappy about it. He felt that the medication changed her, like took away her personality, and he accused the mother of just giving her the meds and then being like, okay, whatever, here's the meds, and now I don't have to worry about your problems. He said it was like putting a pillow over her head and then forgetting about her. He didn't even want her to try counseling because when he was a kid, he went to counseling. Also, we don't know why he went to counseling as a kid. I think that would be very interesting to know if there was any genetic factor. But he went to counseling, and he was teased for it as a kid. And he didn't want her to get teased like that. So he said, no counseling. And he said, no meds. All she needs is a lot of love, a lot of attention, and a nice, wholesome environment at home. That's all. And she will be fine. And he and the mother fought about this a lot. And he also came to find out that the older sister, Sierra, that was her name, she wasn't his child after all. So, they divorced. And he got custody of Crystal. And she was 17. They picked up and moved to North Carolina. The specific place that he moved to was called Sheepback Mountain, and it was a beautiful, remote location. I'm putting up a photo for you. I'm not clear exactly what portion of the photo was their house, but it's somewhere in there. Somewhere in the photo. I tried to find out, but I couldn't. So, now he had a good job. He was a sports reporter and editor, and he had received a very nice inheritance. So he used this money to buy a big 8-bedroom home So if you've got problems in your head, they're coming with you. That's just my little 2 cents a little bit early. Before he knew it, she was back to shoplifting. She was taking drugs. She was taking hard drugs like crystal meth. And she was running away for weeks at a time. And every time she would do something wrong, he would just get stricter and stricter to try to control her. And even though he was doing that, they still had a really close relationship. They both loved each other a lot, and people on the outside were jealous of their relationship. Other kids wished they had a dad like that. So, on February 24th, 2014, the father, Michael, he was 50. Crystal was 17, like I mentioned earlier. They went out to the grocery store together. And while they were there, she shoplifted something. When he realized it, he was very angry and he made her return the item and apologize. And I guess she was pretty humiliated by the ordeal. So they went home and he lay down on the couch to take a nap. And she went to take a shower. She was still really angry. And while she was showering, she was just getting more and more angry, thinking about what had happened. So after her shower, she went and found his shotgun. She went over to where he was taking a nap. She put it right up to his head, fired it one time, instantly killing him. Then, somehow, she dragged him, which I'm sure wasn't easy, but she did. She dragged him out to the shed. They had a shed outside. She got him into a big plastic container, closed the container, closed the shed, and that was it. She told her friends, specifically she had 2 really close friends named Summer and Taylor. She told them her dad was traveling on business, and that's why he was away. A couple days later, I guess she decided, or she must have been thinking, he can't be away on business forever. So she told them that she got a phone call from her mom in Georgia saying that her dad had taken his life. And Crystal acted like she was whatever was wrong with her to begin with. At one point, somebody was smoking and some smoke wafted by. And she looked at it and she said, "That's my dad." Not trying to be funny. After the week of partying, her two friends noticed. Well, how could they not notice? She sat down in a chair and did not get up or talk or do anything for 2 full weeks. She was like catatonic, practically. They made sure to take care of her as best as they could, making sure she got in some food. But it was really disturbing. Not that they called for any help or anything. But after 2 weeks, she suddenly snapped out of it. And she told them she's gonna go live with her mother for the next 6 months. I don't know what was going through her head, honestly, but that's what she told them. And they can stay in her house, no problem. She'll even continue to pay all the bills and send them money for food. But she's going. And they can do anything they want, but stay away from the shed, she said. The shed was the special place where she and her dad spent good times together, and she didn't want it to get disturbed. So she got a U-Haul, filled it up with her stuff. She attached it to her dad's, what was it called? Range Rover, or Land Rover. And she left. She headed for Augusta, Georgia, to see her mom. Meanwhile, she had told the girls that they could sell the pinball machine in the basement while she was gone. So they dragged it up to bring to somebody or show to somebody. And I guess the sale didn't work out, so they didn't want to bring it back down to the basement. They said, we'll take it out again and show it to more people, and I'm sure we'll sell it before Crystal gets home. So she won't know if we just put it in the shed. It's just easier. So they opened up the shed. And they were hit with the most gruesome smell ever. They looked inside, and I guess they figured out the smell was coming from a plastic container. So they opened it, and inside was a dead man. First they thought it was a party goer, that somebody had killed a party goer and put him in the shed like this. But after a couple minutes, they realized it was her dad, Michael Howell, in the container. So they went to the police. Now, Summer, one of the two friends, she was particularly concerned that she was being framed Summer was thinking, hey, she invited us here. She left us here to find the body. She's framing me. Especially since a couple weeks before, Crystal sold her shotgun to Summer's dad for $20. Crystal told the dad that her father had given her his gun to use as protection, and she just didn't want it. So now Summer's dad is in possession of the murder weapon. But when they told all of this to the police, they didn't suspect Summer. I guess they knew right away that it must be Crystal. And they went to go find her in Augusta, Georgia. So she got to her mom's house and told the mom that her father had given up custody of her, emancipated her, and it was okay for her to be here. She didn't have any paperwork to show that, though. And she was acting very awkward, just very, very strange. So, she wouldn't let them touch her. It was the mother and the sister, Sierra, were both there. She wouldn't let them hug her. She wasn't really talking. And then she said, I have somewhere else to stay anyway, so, see you around. And she left with her big U-Haul. She went to a motel. Well, the next day, which was March 23rd, 2014, the police found her at the motel and arrested her. She acted very casual and said she didn't do it. But they called her mother, who came down, gave her a hug, and Crystal said, "I didn't mean to do it." The police found that she had withdrawn $12,000 from her father's bank. She had also Googled, how long does it take for a body to decompose? So, ultimately, she pled guilty, and she was charged with first-degree murder, as well as concealing a death. She was given 60 to 84 months for the second crime, and she was given a minimum of 25 years for the murder. So in 25 years, she will be up for parole. And that is the entire case. So, what do you think? I'll tell you some of my thoughts. First thing, we never ever want to blame the victim, so I'm not going there. But I want to talk about his reluctance to allow her to take medication, and his belief that just taking her away to a nice, peaceful place, giving her some good love, that was all she needed. Not even counseling would be necessary. course, hindsight is 20/20, right? Generally, if we know how these cases were going to end, they could all be prevented, right? But in this situation, the father didn't mean any harm. I get that. But when you're talking about serious behavior problems like she was presenting with, you can't just take them away and think that a new environment is going to cure them. I think most of us who are listening to my voice know better than that. I mean, yes, it was 2014, and maybe people knew less back then. It is quite a while ago, and I think we talk a lot more in the media and everywhere about mental illness. And, all the signs and things to be aware of. What to look for in other people that suggest they're suffering from severe mental illness. Like, we hear so much about that now. Maybe not as much in 2014 or before that figure. Probably when it all started, it was a few years before that. So, if she had been on medication, this probably wouldn't have happened. So, is that her fault? She was a child or a teenager who needed medication. That's what the professionals said, and it wasn't given to her. So, is the murder her fault? This is such a tricky situation. I would say that in some ways she's a victim as well, because now her entire life has been destroyed when it was stated that she needed meds. So I don't know what to say about this. Of course, she was not clinically, or she was not legally insane at the time of the murder. She knew what she was doing. She knew she was killing him. She hid it, the whole 9 yards, but I always like to point out over and over again the difference between legally insane and mentally ill. Two different things entirely. Legally insane is just that if you're legally insane, you didn't know what you were doing. You didn't know where you were, what you were doing. You were psychotic at that moment. But mentally ill is mentally ill, okay? There was something very wrong with her thinking. She knew right from wrong. But whatever it was that was wrong with her is what led her to do that. So, I'm not sure what to say about her sentencing. I mean, she took a plea though. So, meaning she went ahead and said, I am guilty of the crime, to avoid a whole court proceeding. And so, she's going to be in prison for 25 years. Well, it started in 2016, so do the math. We could do the math. It's going to be a while. That's really the main thing that I think about in this case. It's just that the father just didn't have enough information, didn't really know enough about what he was dealing with. And even the whole piece about counseling. I'm thinking, why does anyone have to get bullied about counseling? Like, he suggested he didn't want her to get bullied or teased by going to counseling. Who has to tell anyone guidance on how she's doing. Just someone to keep track of her, who's a professional. Anyway, it's really, really sad. The loss of 2 lives, just a complete shame, should never have happened. And when I say 2 lives, of course I mean Michael Howell, the father, and Crystal Howell, the daughter. And of course, all the family and friends that were affected. So, I am going to leave it at that. Thank you so